Hi folks, Lou here to talk about asymmetry and symmetry in contemporary table games. Now, asymmetry, I would say, is a good thing in a game because it gives you a lot more to be able to learn. If you're playing a four-player game and each player has a different situation, then there are four different ways that you can play the game. Symmetry, on the other hand, where everybody starts exactly the same, is in a sense simpler, but more important, it fits with the modern zeitgeist of exploring games, playing them 1 to 3 times and then moving on to the next one. If the game is symmetric, then you only have one position to learn, really. Now, there are, of course, symmetric games where playing first is a lot different than playing last, but in general, everybody's got the same situation. If you have an asymmetric game like Britannia, 1 to 3 plays won't even let you play all the sides because there's 4 sides. So from a game designer's point of view, what is better? Well, if you want to make games that are only played 1 to 3 times, you might as well go with symmetric route. If you want to make games that can be played 10 times or 25 times or 100 times, or in the case of something like Britannia, I know people have played it 500 times, and it's a 4 to 5 hour game, then you want to go the asymmetric route. Because that asymmetry puts a lot more substance into the game. I guess there's no other way to say it. Symmetric games tend to have less substance. Now, less substance is not always bad. You know my motto about keeping games simple, and a symmetric game is a simpler game. On the other hand, historical games ought to be asymmetric because in history you don't usually have a situation where each side is the same. Now, there are exceptions. For example, rebels rebelling against the Chinese dynasty. They all essentially have the same situation, or they can be seen as having the same situation. Now, the other thing to say about symmetric and asymmetric is it's a lot easier to balance a symmetric game because you're essentially pitting equals against each other from the start. It's a lot harder to balance an asymmetric game, especially one for more than 2 players. It's a pain in the butt. I'm trying to finish Dual Britannia now, which is a 2-player, very simple and short version of Britannia, and the play balance is driving me nuts. And that's because it's asymmetric. If it were symmetric, I wouldn't be having those problems. But if it were symmetric, it couldn't be history, could it? Thanks for listening.